Zack Snyder brings us his first original concept after bringing us such groundbreaking and visionary films like 300 and The Watchmen and the successful remake of Dawn of the Dead. And he brings it to us in Sucker Punch. Now, Sucker Punch has everything. Scantily clad, beautiful... Wait, go back to that other picture. The other one. Yeah, before that. What's this movie about? It's Real School's music, 'cause I can't use the good stuff. So, what do we know about Zack Snyder? Well, we know he can direct action, we know he can direct gore, we know he can direct comic book films, and we know that he can tell a pretty good story. Now, Snyder does bend the definition of original a little bit in the terms that he really throws every sci-fi and fantasy element from video games, animation, comic books, and anime. Anything you can think of, he throws at you. Even before I saw the film, the trailer reminded me of that great animated show, Samurai Jack. Now, if you've never seen Samurai Jack, this is one of those amazing shows that throws everything at you. It's different every episode. You've got samurais, as is implicated in the title, but you have monsters, you have westerns, you have pop culture references that keep coming at you, and it's really a sci-fi nerd's perfect animated show. And just like Samurai Jack, Sucker Punch brings it. It's got everything. Robots, dragons, gorgeous women shooting huge guns. I mean, what gets hotter than that? I mean, let's be honest. When you see a trailer like Sucker Punch's trailer, we all know why you're going to go see that movie. I mean, especially if you're a guy within the age of 15 to 35. It's pretty clear. And don't forget, steampunk zombie Nazis. That's right, you heard it here. Steampunk zombie Nazis. What more could you ask for? What it really comes down to is with Snyder throwing so much at you, what's going to stick? Well, in a typical Snyder film, it's the visuals that really make it. All the action sequences are just that. They are full of action, and of course, the visual sequences, the dream sequences, are just that. They're imaginative, they're bright, they're colorful, and they have a very interesting imaginative style. All those sequences are really a feast for the eyes, not to mention the gorgeous women that are in it are of course a feast for the eyes as well. Which brings me to maybe one downside to the film. If you've ever watched another Zack Snyder film, he's not actually afraid to ever show women as the victim, which can be uncomfortable. For a movie that's supposed to be full of kick-ass women, the movie can be kind of misogynistic at times, and in fact, most of the female characters are very helpless at one point or another. One other downside is that, since this is the first time that Snyder has directed something that he himself wrote, I find that the film at times can be very self-indulgent. Not to give too much away, but in the first sequence of the film, it starts off as really the feel of a music video. There's a really sweet rendition that Emily Browning herself sings of Sweet Dreams. And it's very creepy, very dark, kind of gothic, and it really fits. But 2 minutes later, they throw in another song, and once again, it feels like a music video. There's no plot, there's no talking. In fact, for the first 10 minutes of the film, there are 3 songs and maybe 6 lines of dialogue. I usually love sequences like that in film where the music really tells the story or the visuals tell the story and you don't really need dialogue. But with Sucker Punch, it seems like the first 10 minutes of the film is just trying to sell more copies of the soundtrack. Then again, in its defense, the soundtrack is pretty kick-ass. In fact, I went home and I downloaded it right away. Remember that Real School does not recommend or condone downloading illegally things. But the soundtrack is really good. So if you're looking for plot, it's definitely not the film for you. If you're looking for visuals, it is most certainly the film for you. So even if you download the soundtrack illegally, like some people, is the film itself worth the money? On Real School's scale of earn it or burn it, Sucker Punch is an earn it. It's not the greatest film in the world, but it certainly is a good film. If you go in expecting the in-depth plot of The Watchmen or the epic storytelling of 300, you're not going to get that. But if you go in expecting a visual feast, you get exactly what you came for, and it's worth the money. It's one of those films that you have to see in a theater. You cannot watch it, even as good as your home theater system may be, on DVD or Blu-ray. It has to be the big screen. And you really get the sense of the epic imaginative dreamscape that Zack Snyder has created. So real schoolers, thanks for sticking with me. I know it's been almost a month since my last video, and it was kind of just thrown together, not this one, but the last one. But anyways, I want to thank all of you, my subscribers, because my subscription base just keeps climbing and climbing, and it's really appreciated. So keep watching Real School, go see Sucker Punch, and we'll see you next time. They never really do explain the title of the film, do they? What's Sucker Punch? So I thought for this part, since there's no music, maybe we would just all sit in silence. Awkward silence. See, this is what they wanted, folks.